Joining me now, Ed Rollins, former White House political director under President Ronald Reagan, Fox Business contributor. Ed, great to see you.
Thank you.
This is a peculiar day. The president with Lindsey Graham, Jeff Flake, and I mean, all sorts of people. Bob Menendez, for crying out loud, Dick Durbin, all part of the gang. Well, not all of them, but Menendez and Durbin, certainly part of the mess in 2006. What is going on?
It's hard for me to say because the most sacred vow the president made is I'm going to build a wall, and if I do immigration, it's going to be properly done in a way that basically guarantees that it'll work. This today was a performance, I hope, and certainly the details weren't there, but the impression he gave is that he's going to do a deal with the Democrats, and if he does that, he'll basically lose his base, and it won't work. Anytime Democrats are happy, my experience in 50 years of working in Washington, D.C. around it is when they're happy and they're joyous, it's usually not to the advantage of Republicans, and it's certainly not to the advantage of this president. And the fact that he was had Democrats on both sides of them, and he's nodding his head and talking about this being a bill of love. A bill of love is not something you need in immigration. Immigration is a matter of toughness. It's a matter of basically making sure that the country's borders are protected. He's talked about that every single trip he's made.
Yeah. He campaigned against amnesty.
Absolutely.
He campaigned for the wall. He campaigned against the status quo.
Right.
And yet here's the establishment, for crying out loud. Lindsey Graham, Jeb Bush, chiming in today to compliment, to congratulate the president. These two people who were running against him.
And lost.
And lost badly. I don't even I can't even put a matrix together that makes any sense of their sudden participation in public life.
Well, you can't open the borders. You can't basically say the people that are here without any other steps being taken get to stay here. You basically have to say we're going to protect, going to make sure this doesn't repeat itself. The mistake of the '86 bill is we let 2.5 million people come in.
The lesson is really simple, isn't it?
It's very simple.
Build a wall, then you can begin to take up immigration reform.
And then you can start putting them in line.
For a decade and a half, I have said this, that's a straightforward syllogism. You cannot meaningfully reform immigration law of any kind if you can't control immigration. And you can't control immigration unless you have the wall, the borders and ports of entry protected. It's that straightforward. And did you hear sweet Senator Feinstein cooing ever so nicely and calmly about, well, we'll take up border security later, Mr. President. Well, I mean, good Lord.
I've said this on this show before. President Obama had a Democrat majority, wanted to do immigration reform, couldn't get it done. George W. Bush had majorities in both the House and Senate, couldn't get it done. President Trump is not going to get it done unless he basically stands by his principles, and his principles are the security side. And then you can compromise somewhat with the Democrats, but you can't compromise before you even begin the debate.
And I have to tell you, I enjoyed watching the maestro as he conducted that orchestra of, what was it, 22 lawmakers. I mean, they were just sitting there hanging on his every word, waiting for their opportunity to be fed whatever their favorite delicacy is. It's, my gosh, you know, the president handled them. What I'm afraid of is that Lindsey Graham and a few others will be taken seriously, which I think would be awful.
Well, once they start writing this bill, it won't be seriously. There's no way you can do it. There's no magic formula. You can't basically say the 11 million people can go free.